Hello everyone, and welcome to this Age of Mythology God tier list video. The tiers we have are, we have the S plus tier, where I will be placing the best possible gods you could get in a tournament or in ladder. Then the S tier, where we still get the best gods in the game, but they do have some bad matchups you might wanna avoid. Then all the way to the A tier, where more casual gods will be located. The B tier, where I will be placing the bad gods in the game. And at last, the last tier is the absolute deletion from the game. Like, the gods I will be placing here are the gods you want to avoid at all costs, because they will ruin your life, your game, and you're gonna lose your house if you bet in a casino for them. Alright, at first I'm going to start with Fuzi. Fuzi hasn't been performing the same way he used to. So I would usually place him over the S tier in last patches and everything, but I think for this tier list I will be placing him on the A tier. Obviously, we all kinda hate playing against Chinese, at least most of us, I should say. But that doesn't mean they're broken. We really used to play a lot of China back in the day, you know, in those tournaments. Whenever they were out, they seemed insanely strong. They received some nerfs casually. And I think people have been exploiting or abusing better aspects of the game lately, and I will be talking about those things too. Next up is Gaia. Let's go with Gaia. We all know how strong also Atlanteans tend to be. Gaia specifically might be the worst of the three Atlanteans, you know, Uranus, Kronos, and Gaia. And I haven't seen Gaia really performing that well. I haven't seen people picking her too much. One thing that might be extremely strong about Gaia is Leto, the spider lair, where we now get a fourth one every time we cast that. But yet again, compared to other gods and to other strains, and seeing the top players kinda prioritizing other gods, I think I will be placing Gaia on the B tier, first on the B tier. Definitely can take full advantage of her economy, but that's her only strength. Literally her economy, or if you want to abuse spider lairs. There's nothing else going on for Gaia, in my opinion. What's next on the list is we get Amaterasu. Okay, let's go with Amaterasu. So we've seen the strengths of Mina Katatomi, couple of buffs and everything, and I've come to a conclusion that the weasels are not as useful anymore, especially with the, you know, the first age god power nerf, the solar shield nerf, I mean, and people have been really playing a lot of Mina Katatomi. With Mina Katatomi, you can match the Chinese economy, which is crazy. That's why I believe that's one of the best classical age minor gods. You can have siege, those myth units do insane amount of crash damage, you know, the wheels with a face. So I have a feeling, I'm really skeptical about it. I think Amaterasu is literally on the S plus tier right now, because it's been played a lot. Mina Katatomi has been buffed. People always go Mina Katatomi and they either spam cheap archers, you know, and the cheap archer heroes too. You match the Chinese economy with a hunting upgrade and having, you know, those deer in your base. You don't have to move out to hunt outside, basically. So that has really buffed Amaterasu a lot, and I think Amaterasu has a lot of potential, and it could be one of the priority picks for the next tournament if it keeps going that way. Now, I'm not saying Amaterasu is the best god. No, it's not the best god. I believe it deserves to be one of the best gods in the game. So, I will continue now. Let's go with Hades. So, in the latest patch, Hades has been nerfed. Now, with a Hades nerf, he might not be as great on late game, you know, the way you could recast those sentinels. The myth unit slight nerf and everything. At least we have buffed chimeras, so that's nice if you play Earthquake. But then again, Hades is one of the gods you might want to play on water maps mostly if you're in a tournament. And he's not weak, but he's not strong either. I think I'll be placing Hades next to Fuzi on the A tier. That means he's decent, he's playable, he's available. Get him, but prioritize some other picks whenever you play in a tournament or in ladder. If you just care about winning, if you care about having fun, then I recommend you play all the A tier gods. You'll see later why. So yeah, that's where I'll be placing Hades. Next is Poseidon. Let's go with Poseidon here. Poseidon is also Poseidon can have some terrible matchups in my opinion. Like he probably loses to all of the Norses, so that's one problem. And Norses aren't known to be the best gods in the game. So Poseidon is also, in my opinion, A tier. He's either on the right side of Fuzi or on the left, you know, either first or second to Fuzi, so I'm not quite sure. I think I'll be placing Poseidon in front of Hades, because Poseidon wasn't nerfed, was basically buffed with the Chimera, the Earthquake buffs, while Hades was nerfed, so I'll be placing Poseidon in front of Hades, which is nice and cool. Alright, what do we have next on the list? We do have the... Let's go with Kronos. So, Kronos is a really strong god in my opinion. He can be one of the priority picks, you know, after the bans. It might not be a god you might wanna ban too fast if you're drafting. Kronos is also really annoying to play against because of the rush, the early Prometheus rush, and the powerful economy he has, the way he can take down centers extremely fast. I'll be placing Kronos on the S tier, but I don't believe he's one of the best gods in the game. And now, since you can no longer deconstruct a Shrine of the Hunt, that puts Amaterasu in front of Kronos, in my opinion. Amaterasu can match the Kronos economy, definitely. So S tier for Kronos, which is a really good position, don't get me wrong. I truly believe Kronos is strong. Alright, what's next on the list here? We can go with Thor. Thor has been performing nicely. He doesn't really have terrible matchups. Thor can classical fight. Thor can stay in his base if he wants to. The replacement of Raiding Cavalry has recently been... Because Raiding Cavalry is an over-nerfed unit, they nerfed it too much. People have been literally, including myself, been going berserks if you want to counter archers, which doesn't make much sense. No, it doesn't make sense, obviously. But because berserks, the Forseti berserks perform better than the Raiding Cavalry. So yeah, because of pathing reasons and overall attack, DPS. So I think Thor deserves to be on the S tier, but behind Kronos, behind some other gods I will be placing very soon. And yeah, that's my opinion on Thor. Some people might think I'm crazy, other people will place Thor on A tier. I think Thor deserves to be on the S tier, but around the end of S tier. You'll see what I'm talking about. Alright. Then we're gonna go over to Huitzilopochtli, the Aztec god, the first Aztec god from the latest DLC. That's definitely an S tier god. It's close to be an S plus tier, because, you know, it's Aztecs, you know, they have this, you can always upgrade the Calpulis, have an insane economy, you're sacrificing villagers for favor, and, well, all of the god powers seem to be very strong. Huitzilopochtli's Heroic Age god power was slightly nerfed, so that's a reason to not put him on the S plus tier. He's pretty much viable. Doesn't feel like he has any terrible matchups, but it doesn't feel like he's insanely strong against anything but Norse. It feels like he performs well against Norse. That's how it feels like, to me at least, as a high-level player. Yeah, we can now move over to Tsukuyomi. Yeah, let's do Tsukuyomi. I think Tsukuyomi has also been played, but in my opinion, he has some bad matchups. In my opinion, Tsukuyomi loses to Norse. That could be controversial. I will be placing Tsukuyomi on the A tier, possibly in front of Fuzi. New Moon had a slight nerf, so only the 3 most expensive upgrades are those you get from the New Moon. Whenever you use it on a building, whether it's an armory or a temple, you'll get the 3 most expensive ones. He's viable on water maps, so that's pretty good. He should lose to Norse, in my opinion. He should lose to Chinese that have access to a second gold mine, so you lose your timing attack with the armory. And he should probably also lose to Kronos, so I think that's where he deserves to be. That's where Tsukuyomi deserves to be, in my opinion. What's next on the list? We can go with... Let's go with Susanoo. So, Susanoo very similar to Amaterasu. One thing that makes Susanoo, I think, as strong as Amaterasu, Susanoo, by the way, beats Amaterasu in a 1v1 very easily, is his god powers. How people... The weakness Susanoo had before, the fact that he was so weak, was his early game. It was so hard to defend the early game when you played Susanoo. But now with the Minakatatomi buffs, the Shrine of the Hunt being available and unable to deconstruct and everything, he's pretty much able to defend any type of early push, and that sets him up to the next level, his next winning conditions, which are constantly recasting god powers and winning the game with it. So Susano definitely has to be on the S tier, on the S plus tier. That can be controversial once again, but I truly believe he deserves to be there, just like Amaterasu. He has a lot of potential. From my experience, Susano has been performing really well. And we've seen, for example, what Pegasus Rush has been doing. Other high-level players have been copying that style, you know, with the myth unit raids, the constant god power, you know, the Kusanagi, plus the, you know, all the god powers combined. And the fact that it's almost impossible to push Susano. The only thing I could see working against Susano is like a cheesy push with double heroes when you play Greeks, but that's also preventable. You just have to age up a 330, get your Bushi hero out, or an Unamusa to defend against the Minotaur and the heroes, use your Mikos to heal. You just have to play around using skill in the early game, and you should be good to go for the later game and everything. I'm not even going to talk about the late game. He's insanely strong in the late game because you can recast in such a fast time period your Mythic Age God power twice and 3 times, because they always get, you know, 20 to 25%, I think, cheaper every time you cast any God power. So yeah, 3 Mythic Age God powers for you. So yeah, you don't want to go late game against Susano. What's next on the list? Let's go with Loki. So Loki deserves to be in the absolute deletion from the game category. If you play Loki, you must be very depressed, and I'm really sorry to say that because I used to be a Norse main myself. I might still be at heart a Norse main, so it really hurts me. You know, the fact that I see Loki being so low in a tier list like that, it makes me really sad. But he should be deleted from the game as soon as possible, unfortunately. And yeah, we should be going over the next god right now. Next is Ra. Let's go with Ra. Ra, one of Ra's weaknesses are scouting. Ra has weak scouting. Now, is it because you use the priest to empower early on? Is it because the obelisks take a longer time to be built than Isis? Well, Ra have a very strong late game, that's for sure. Ra has very strong units for the late game, especially if you play Tornado. And I could not put Ra on the S plus tier because the high-level players, other than myself, have not been performing amazingly with Ra. Like, I can see Recon playing Ra, he's gonna play Ra insanely powerful. I can see myself playing Ra, I'll perform very well with Ra. But when I see other players playing Ra, they make major mistakes that makes me rethink of Ra's situation. So just because people haven't been performing too well with Ra in general, I'll just place him on the S tier. If people knew exactly how he's played, then I'll be putting him on the S plus tier. But then again, that's the thing about the Egyptians. Don't get me wrong. Egyptians are really strong, but they're also very hard to play. That's where people lose it. That's why people lose games when they play Egyptians, because they're extremely hard to play. So yeah, that's my personal opinion. We'll move on over with Nuwa. And even though I really used to think that the Chinese are amazing, maybe they're still very strong. A tier is not a bad tier, for Fuzi, for example. I do believe that Nuwa performs very well on defensive maps where you can secure a gold mine using your earth wall. If you cannot secure a gold mine, Nuwa feels way more weaker than you think, way weaker. So for that reason, I will be placing Nuwa first on the B tier. Some people might think I'm crazy, but then again, if it's map dependent, then it's not a powerful god. If it's so map dependent, if you get a gold mine with Nuwa, a second gold mine, a second town center with a back gold mine and your earth wall around, that makes her an S tier goddess. But if you don't get that, if you have to really fight for that gold mine, then I should be placing her on the B tier. Some other gods will perform better. Greeks will do probably better if Nuwa doesn't get a gold mine, you know what I mean? And no cavalry in the classical age, so you can always classical fight here and you can gold starve here if you wish. So that's Nuwa's weakness. What is next on the list here? All right, let's go with Senong. Now Senong is the opposite. you see what a big difference lightning weapons can do, because since Shenong has lightning weapons, that means he can definitely classical fight and have no issues at all with everything. In the classical age, I'll be placing him on the S tier. I should be putting him in front of Kronos and Thor, because in my opinion, Shenong beats Kronos and Thor, in my opinion. That could also be controversial. I think Shenong deserves to be on the S tier. He's not the best god in the game, so I shouldn't be putting him on the S plus tier. And Shenong can raid with myth units, something that Nuwa cannot really do much. And lightning weapons, extremely strong late game, very easy farm transition. All of those things make Shenong a top tier god. We'll be moving over to Odin. Now, well, it was fun seeing players winning games using Heimdall, but now the community has figured out how to play against Heimdall. Like, they should either be very aggressive or they should just boom and defend. I will be placing Odin on. I'm sorry, I will be placing him on the B tier. Either probably it's very close. He's equal to Nuwa, so I'll be placing him here on the right side of Nuwa. So Odin can have some very good matchups. In my opinion, Odin beats Poseidon, for example. He probably beats Hades too. If the map is very open, you know, he can go for raiding. If the map is not open, Hades should win then. So, yeah, Odin will lose probably to Thor. He actually loses to Thor. He loses to Jilopotli. He loses to Ra. He loses to Shenong. With Kronos, it depends on the map spawn. He can do well, though. Odin can do well against Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu, but that doesn't mean he can be higher than that, because he loses to almost everything else. He should also win against Loki, in my opinion, so he definitely has to be in front of Loki over there next to Gaia. Next on the list is Tezcatlipoca. Now, yes, we did get a recent buff with Tezcatlipoca. You unlock the Jaguar Riders in the Heroic Age, but Tezcatlipoca lacks of economy. He has no economy. Nothing really economically going well for him. And we did see so much Gvoth against Recon, where Recon was playing Gaia, Gvoth was playing Tezcatlipoca. Gvoth could never repopulate the way Recon was repopulating. So because of his weak economy and possibly his weak units, that plays also a big role, I think Tezcatlipoca has to be around B tier, I think in front of Nuwa, or no, Nuwa is better than Tezcatlipoca, maybe, no? So it has to be on the right side of Nuwa. And I'm hoping to see some new cool design for Tezcatlipoca, because he's underperforming right now. Next on the list is let's do Isis. I'll put Isis on the S tier. Now, I think Amaterasu should beat Isis, but I think Isis should beat Susano. Just because Susano's bonuses are about the S plus tier, by the way, for Isis. Just because Susano bonuses are about god powers. And what can Isis do? Isis can block god powers using monuments. So definitely Isis performs better than Susano. Isis is one of the best gods in the game, undeniable. One of the most. It's actually the most banned god in the tournaments, literally. So people really want to avoid playing against Isis. And that's just how it is. Yeah, and I'll be moving right away to Uranus. Uranus is an S plus tier god. Some people might not believe me. Well, we used to be trolling back in the day, a few months ago, probably a year ago. People would say, hey guys, Uranus is insanely strong, probably the best god in the game. And people would be like, no, you're trolling. But actually Uranus is one of the best gods in the game. People have exploited, people have abused very much the sky passages to their maximum potential, and he's been performing really well. I think Uranus should beat Isis. Uranus should beat probably Amaterasu and the Susano. Yes, he should. And it doesn't feel like I know any bad matchups for Uranus. I don't think of a god that Uranus should lose to. It's really extremely hard to think of one. Could that be Odin, maybe? Could that be Loki at very rare cases? I highly doubt. I think Uranus deserves to be on the S plus tier because of the least bad matchups. And he can really take his place against the Egyptians. He can really outboom the Egyptians. So it comes down to you microing and making no strategic mistakes. Next is, let's do Demeter. So Demeter, as soon as possible, has to be deleted from the game. It's one of the worst designs in the game, one of the worst goddesses in the game. It's trash, it's bad, nobody likes Demeter. Demeter doesn't like us either. It's unfun to play and unfun to play against. It's weak, and come on now. I'm really disappointed about Demeter. So we have to discriminate here and put her on the deletion category with Loki. And I think Loki might be even better than Demeter. So that's where we'll be placing Demeter for this tier list. And we have 4 gods left. Look at this, 4 gods left. I'll be putting Quetzalcoatl. Let's do Set first. Let's do Set. I will be putting Set on the S tier in front of Ra. Because Set will be converting a couple of animals. He was slightly nerfed, less animals spawn from the temple, so you're gonna be hunting slightly less. On high hunt maps, Set is insanely strong, like Mars and Watering Hole. Now, on lower hunt maps, you can punish Set with your greater economy. Set has to heavily rely on his cheaper units to outspam you, to out-eco you that way by constantly being aggressive. So it takes a lot of skill to play Set. Set is still one of the best gods in the game. But I think Isis has a better economy. Prosperity makes Isis better. So that's why Isis is in front of Set. And Set is on the S, first on the S tier, definitely. 3 gods are left. Quetzalcoatl. I think Quetzalcoatl is the best god in the game right now. The way you can do bloodletting, so the way you can basically generate favor without sacrificing villagers, only Quetzalcoatl has that. You might see yourself still sacrificing 1 or 2. The technology, the mechanic from the temple where your turkeys can be sacrificed at the temple for 15 seconds, you'll be having extremely high gather rates for all of your villagers, gold, wood, and food. You'll find that in the tech tree. The fact that the Calpulis are cheaper and the additions are cheaper, you can make a build order. You can literally advance with 3 Calpulis if you'd like, a 4-minute advance with 3 Calpulis. That's insanely powerful. His economy is extremely strong. Once again, his units are extremely strong. They're like the Eagle Warriors, the +2 range also. We've seen Matador and Gvoth, other players doing the mass Eagle Warrior strategy. Pretty powerful. And can really play the late game. Since the Noble Hat units have way more hit points, you can always play Great Temple units as well. We've seen how those Soul Guides have been easily spammable in the late game, so you can have an army that literally never dies. And I see Quetzalcoatl classical fighting if he wants to, semi-fast heroicing if he wants to, even a fast mythic if there's safe resources if he wants to. So many strategies are open for Quetzalcoatl, it's actually insane. He has to be on the S+ tier. And I really also I love playing this god, personally. So that's where he has to be. Now Zeus is pretty good on water maps. Norse might be slightly better on water maps against Zeus specifically, so that's kinda ironic. If Zeus gets a safe goldmine, he's more than playable, can definitely play late game as well with the Myrmidon spam, Hera or Hephaestus, depends on you. He only struggles when it comes down to securing a second goldmine. You know, he doesn't have sentinels. And even though his god powers are strong, you usually have to use those god powers kinda aggressively in order to get high value. So I think Zeus has to be on the A tier, just right after Tsukuyomi. On safe maps, Zeus can be in front of Tsukuyomi. On maps like Mars or Watering Hole, I see Zeus being better. But I think for the overall map pool, I will be placing him after Tsukuyomi. And at the very last god we have is Freyr. So Freyr also deserves absolute deletion from the game. Like, we should even forget that Freyr exists at this point. You should never play Freyr in your entire life. Don't even touch this god currently. So I'll be putting him right after Loki. And these are the 3 gods you'd never want to touch. Loki, Freyr, Demeter. Run away from them and you will be safe. So this was overall the tier list for Age of Mythology Retold, you know, god tier list. Thank you everyone for watching. If you'd like to learn how to play Age of Mythology Retold, take a look at the description. I've posted links to my Age of Mythology courses. I highly recommend checking that out. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment. And I'll see you in the very next video.